Welcome back to another episode of the One-on-One podcast. I am your co-host, Josh Katz. I am joined by Kathy Baker and Ryan Esteban, who's over in his little corner in the cave in the dark. How are you guys? How are you guys doing?
Great. I have to tell you, I saw the most beautiful pictures of the wedding. Just spectacular. Ryan, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I feel like we need to bring Leslie on.
No.
We could do like a mini series, not a full episode.
Yeah.
No, we don't have to do that, guys.
But congrats, in all sincerity, congratulations.
Thank you. I know it's been a hot topic in this podcast for a couple episodes now. So
Indeed it has.
It's even weird in like team meetings. Like you'll notice like Ryan will scratch his face and you now see the ring, you know? I almost feel like it's purposeful.
No.
Yeah.
It's like this.
Well, Kathy, Ryan and I are joined in the studio by someone we all know very well. And Ryan and I get to see him all the time because he is based out of the hub with us. And I'm sure a lot of the network has seen his face a lot in the last couple of weeks. Our general counsel, Alex Mihai, is here to discuss the recent settlement. And I mean, this is going to be a lot. I feel like Alex, honestly, Ryan, you and I can probably just leave the room now and go grab a drink.
I think so. Let's
Alex
just do that.
can probably just talk for the next 25 minutes. So Alex, thank you for joining us. Sure. Where do you want to begin, Kathy? Like, how do you want to...
First of all, I want to say on behalf of the network, thank you to the hardest working man in real estate right now, which is our legal counsel. Just done a phenomenal job. And a happy day. Alex, do you want to tell us why it's such a happy day?
Yeah, today's a great day. We settled the claims against us, so to speak. So there are two lawsuits in Missouri and the Gibson case, the UMPA case. We reached a settlement with the plaintiffs. This is lead counsel. This is Ketchmark's law firm. Ketchmark was the attorney that was in front of that jury in Missouri where they got that significant verdict, the $1.8 billion. And we reached a settlement with them last week. We were on a employee trip, which was interesting, but we reached a settlement with them last week and we started announcing some of the terms of our settlement right after. And we're very pleased as an organization. We still have to pay the settlement. we still, we have to implement some practice changes, but I think what was important to our leadership team was that we give our franchisees and the agents of our franchisees and the employees of our franchisees peace of mind. And allow them to just really focus on their business. We have calls where we're continuously pushing them to grow, to continue, with their sales and their transactions and the recruitment of agents. And it's distracting to have ongoing litigation, to read news articles every day about litigation. And when you can tell that network that we've settled the claims against us, and there's still some legal things that we have to tend to, but that gives them peace of mind. That I think says to them directly, you can now go focus on your business.
And that's so true. When you've got anything like that that's looming over you, it literally, we talk a lot, Alex, about sports, and anything like that is that distraction that's sitting out there, it just takes your eye off the ball. And we know that our affiliates at this time need to be growing. I think our model is so perfect for the times and the things that are going on. So thanks for giving us the opportunity. You and Kuba said early on, you and Kuba and Mike said early on, we've got your back. And I don't think any of us, and maybe even you guys, didn't even know what that meant. So can you talk a little bit about the process and everything that's happened? Because people can rest assured that things have been taken care of. But again, I want to make sure you guys get the credit for the amount of hours and work and integrity and intention that's gone into this.
Well, we moved fast. And think about it. The first lawsuit was filed in 2019. That was the Murrell case. That was about 5 years ago. We were not named in that case, but other brands were. And those other brands settled in 2023, so 4 years later. We were named in the first commission-related lawsuit in, I believe it was late December or maybe that first week of January of this year. So, we've only been in litigation 4 months now, 5 months, and we have a settlement in place. And I can't, when you say, Kathy, we've got your back, that to me said, well, first of all, as a lawyer, you think literally, and you're like, what does that mean? You got my back. And you show it to them by, look, we've had franchise owners at our competitors' brands going through litigation and having that in their heads for years. And then they got that verdict that was awful and it just kind of changed our industry and the way we looked at things. And we've only had this sort of looming, this cloud over us for about 5 months, and now we're able to put it aside because our CEO and our CFO, Mike and Kuba, decided we'll do what it takes. We've got these folks back, so we can't have them thinking about litigation and how their business will be affected, if their business will fail, if, all these different things. When are they going to get sued? What do I do when I get sued? And these are normal questions to ask. It's scary stuff. And so we've got your back means we're going to go on the offensive, like Kuba said, and he instructed me to get this thing done and resolved as soon as I can. Obviously, the terms have to be fair and comfortable for us. It's never comfortable because you guys know there's an adversary. So, Kathy, when you've got somebody on the other side and you're trying to close a deal, a real estate transaction, there's always moments of friction. And there was many moments of friction here because your adversary is saying that you've engaged in a conspiracy. Where my position is, look, our agents have followed a rule that NAR has in place. That's not the same as conspiring to fix the price.
Right.
There's two different things.
Right.
So I don't know to this day, and I ask myself, what did I conspire about? Who did I conspire with? And how did that affect anybody? To what extent? I don't know the answers to those questions. And I don't know many of our agents can sit there and say, oh yeah, this is the time where I felt I did something wrong. It's unfortunate, but that creates a little bit of friction when you're going through negotiations, having to negotiate something where you feel you've really done nothing incorrect. You certainly haven't violated antitrust laws or committed a restraint on trade. Those are very heavy terms. And nobody that I've spoken to in our network feels that they engage in that sort of conduct. But yet we're still having to cut a check, significant check. And that check is based on peace of mind, allowing us to move forward, and things of that nature. Not in any way suggesting that we have done something wrong. We make it very clear in our settlement agreement that there is no admission of fault with regard to any of the allegations against us. And we deny everything that's being said in those complaints.
So we talked about this off camera, and in the communication that was sent out to our entire network, it says that our franchise owners and all real estate professionals will not be held liable now or in the future. So can you maybe kind of explain that a little bit more? Yes.
So there is a definition of what a released party is in our settlement agreement, and our competitors that have settled as well, define what a released party is. In our settlement agreement, we've settled our corporate brokerages, so our company stores, that's Pat Kelly's division, our offices in Nevada and Arizona, the agents that belong to those offices, the employees that belong to those offices, and on the franchise side, we've included all of our franchise owners as of the date of the settlement agreement. So if you're a franchisee after the date of the settlement agreement, that was executed on April 23rd, I believe, 2024, then you would not be. So it's not going to protect all these future franchise owners, 10 years from now. It just applies to the conduct
people
of the
that
past.
got it
Yeah.
with us during that time.
Right. So the franchise owners, their agents, their employees, regardless of what size you are, you could be over $2 billion, under $2 billion, they're all protected and have rights under our settlement agreement.
So this might be a pretty large question. What does this mean for the future of how Realty ONE Group will practice real estate?
No, that's a good question. So there is a provision in our settlement agreement that deals specifically with practice changes. I have to put on my glasses so I can read it. I didn't memorize all of them. But the nice thing is that these changes that I'll share some of them with you guys, they're not earth-shattering. They're not novel in any way. You've probably heard them before, just reviewing other settlements of other parties that have become public. A few things, we are going to remind our brokerages and agents that there's no rule that we have at our company that requires agents to make or accept offers of compensation from any buyer's brokers. So we don't have any you must cooperate type rule. Next, we are going to require our brokers and agents disclose to buyer and seller clients that commissions are not set by law and that they're fully negotiable. So we've talked about that before. We're going to make sure our folks disclose that clearly to their clients, that they can negotiate commissions with us and that they're not set by law. sorry, we are going to prohibit brokerages in our network and buyers agents that work with their clients from advertising their services as free. So we can't do that. We're going to require our agents and our brokers to disclose to the buyer the listing agent's offer of compensation as soon as possible. So if there is an offer of compensation by the listing broker, that should be disclosed to the buyer so the buyer knows that there's some money being exchanged. I think one of the contentions made in these lawsuits was that buyers were never aware or not aware, or it was uncertain if they were aware, however you want to phrase it. I think I covered them all. That what the buyers weren't certain if their agent was being paid, if the buyer's agent was being paid or how they were being paid. So that's going to be disclosed clearly now. We are going to remind our brokers and agents, this is not a requirement, but we're going to remind them that they must show properties regardless of any offers of compensation advertised on a property, or if there's no offer of compensation. So they still have to do a duty for their clients and show them a property regardless if there's an offer to compensate them there. And the last one is that we're going to develop training materials that support what I just said, these changes. So nothing, I think, earth-shattering here. Nothing that you guys maybe have not heard on other calls or maybe discussed. A lot of it's disclosure rules. And I think importantly, we have to just make sure our clients are informed that they can negotiate commissions with us, that there's no standard anymore, or you must do this, or you must offer this to that person, nothing like that.
Okay. Kathy, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So I'm going to bring this back to sports and then ask you a question. So like, Alex, I know you're a soccer fan. So like when you live through, we all have lived through like the VAR change, right? Like when soccer implemented like the VAR rule, and I think it upset a lot of people. And now it was kind of like one of those things like, okay, well, you don't really have a choice. It's now part of the game, and you now need to learn to play with this as part of the game. So like, Kathy, I know you have been in this game for longer than us. So like, how do you foresee real estate as a whole? Like agents, when they're doing the entire real estate process, transactions from a buyer side, from a seller side, do you foresee this like a cleanse, like you said, or?
I think more than that. The first thing I want to say, and Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there are 18 states that have had for years mandatory buyer disclosure, where some of the U.S. has not. So there's been a portion of the U.S. that has had to disclose. What it's going to do, Josh, is it's going to, and I hate to use the word mandate, but it's going to mandate that professionals articulate the value they bring when they represent a buyer. It's going to force professionals just to play at a higher level. It may take out some of the rec league. It may take out some of the club level, but they're going to have to go through the stages, and they're going to have to adopt different practices if they have not been under mandatory buyer disclosure. At the time you meet someone, you're going to have to start to articulate your value and why they should be represented. And quite honestly, Alex, I don't know how you feel, but I think we should have been doing that all along. As far as when you're representing that buyer.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all, Kathy. It never made sense to me when I joined this company and, got more intimate with real estate. This was in 2015. And I obviously got an inside look into how real estate is practiced. And it never made sense to me that a real estate professional, a real estate agent would engage in services on behalf of a client, but yet not have an agreement with them. So I always thought as an attorney or any other professional, doctor, engineer, wherever these degrees you have on your walls there, you want to establish what you're going to do and how much you're going to be paid for it before you do it. And I looked at our profession and said, well, why don't our agents do that? Oh, it's uncomfortable to have those conversations. Like, what are you talking about? You're going to spend time researching homes, visiting these homes before you show it to your client, having meetings with them, gauging, their price point. Are they working with lenders? You're going to do all this stuff and gather all this information, and then not know if you're going to be paid or when you might be paid, right, or how, And you're also, you have, from a legal insurance standpoint, once you engage in fiduciary duties to a client because you're now showing them homes, or you're making representations to them about a neighborhood or a school district or whatever you're saying to them, you are rendering these fiduciary duties to them, which then legally implicates you to a certain standard. And you can be held accountable if you give wrong advice or bad advice or, things like that. And for me to do that to somebody, for me to write a letter or advise somebody or, guide them in a employment case or whatever case, I need to know I'm going to be compensated for that because my license is now sort of on the hook.
Your reputation's on the line too.
My reputation's on the line. So to just do that stuff with no written agreement and no understanding of how or how much I'd be compensated, it's kind of a scary thing. So I don't think having a written agreement with a client is bad at all. I think it's normal for a real estate agent to want to know exactly how they'll get paid, what services they'll render, and have that established with the buyer before they engage in paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about when you
And I'm so proud of how rapidly, Alex, your team moved to get this settled, and we're prepared. The good thing about our brand is we're always preparing tomorrow's leaders for today's business and even further out. I mean, we will have it. We already have things in place for professionals to know what to say and what to do and to make sure that, they're able to get the business. I think, anytime, Josh, me, anytime we have this opportunity to cleanse and the hobbyists get out and it become a real professional business, I'm happy. When you have professionals doing business, your production goes up and your liability goes down.
Yeah.
And I'm thrilled, I'm thrilled that we've settled, and I'm thrilled that I feel like we've all got our arms around it and we know what to do next. I feel like a lot of brands and a lot of organizations are wringing their hands, just saying, I don't know what to do next.
So I have a question, and I know that this is good. Like you said, we were all together when you found out about this news, and it's very exciting for the company and it's very exciting for our future. Are there other lawsuits out there still?
Yes. So we're involved in 6 different matters, 6 different venues across the United States. This is a national settlement. This is a national settlement where there's a national class of sellers who purchased homes in a certain time frame through MLSs, and it settles all the claims nationally. But because the cases were not consolidated, we had some news a few weeks ago. There was a push by the plaintiffs and defendants to have these cases that you're seeing all over the United States brought into one courtroom and appoint one defense counsel, one plaintiff's counsel, and it would be more efficient that way. And it's common in these class actions. The consolidation court that just was there to determine whether these cases should be consolidated rejected that. So the cases weren't consolidated. So we're still active in all these other venues. And the next move for us is to file what's called a notice of stay, asking the court, for example, in California or whatever state we're in, to stay that case against us, to prevent us from having to file responsive pleadings or engage in discovery or anything else, because we have a settlement that's pending. Hasn't been approved yet. We think it'll get approved, but we're asking those courts to not allow us to engage in any further litigation because we have a settlement in place that deals with the same nucleus of facts here, same thing. And I want to give credit to Kathy. I know so thank you for all the compliments about my department, but this is not a one-man show. So we've had fantastic representation at Bremer White. Keith Bremer, the main partner there, he was just fantastic at negotiating directly with plaintiff's firm, and he just did an amazing job for us. So I appreciate all of Keith's efforts here. He was fantastic for us, and it really was a team effort. We had a team at Shepherd Mullen that's out of Washington, D.C., and they have folks there that are just antitrust experts. So we had a really good team in place, and to even get that team in place, I go to Kuba and I say, hey, this is what I need. And there was a level of trust there. We've worked together for several years, and it's scary. And he could have taken a position and said, well, this is all ridiculous. We have a different model, and we do. And we have some good defenses and some unique defenses. We said this on other calls. We don't split our commissions with agents. We let them keep 100%. So that it's hard for a plaintiff to then establish that we have a motive to want to fix a commission price.
Right.
Well, we don't get anything out of it. So we had that nice defense for us. Other things we could have said, but Kuba said, look, the most important thing was to give our franchise owners some peace of mind here and put this behind us. And he was willing to pull out his checkbook and go that route. Yeah. And as much as I wanted to litigate, as much as I wanted answers to my questions, like how did I conspire? Who did I conspire with? What damage does that result? Like I need to know these things before I'm just going to cut somebody a check. What are you going to say? Like, so it's fine. I mean, we are where we are. I'm happy with where we are. It's a congratulatory moment for us, but I said before, we still have to pay this thing. Mm-hmm. I can see a future where to pay this, Cuba throws these kick-ass events, our summits, our base camps. We have phenomenal speakers there. Everything is very top-notch. The venue is wonderful. I'm going to need some money to pay for this. So network, if you're listening, you may need to take a break from all the wonderful.
Alex will be headlining Summit next year, not Shaq.
Yeah, exactly. Josh and I are going to headline. Yeah. No Peyton Manning next year. We're going to need to pay for these things. So that's fine though. I mean, what I think our owners understand that, and they will support us in trying to get this behind us. And it really is a team effort, you know? So yeah.
Well, you've got to feel good. You've got to feel good when you know that 20,000 people wake up and know you've served them well.
Yeah.
And and I know it's a collaborative effort, and I appreciate you giving. Mike Clear's probably invested tons of hours that all of us aren't aware of.
Great.
Cuba has. It's been a total team effort, but just kudos again, because you've given a lot of people. You've walked your talk when when you've said we've got your back. Man, you guys truly did. So thank you.
Yeah, and I agree. You're right. I should have mentioned Mike too. He's been wonderful. I mean, he and I are hand in hand in getting this thing resolved. Yeah. Cuba's a little more high level, and we keep him appraised of everything, and he has final approval on pulling the trigger on terms or not. But Mike and I were in the nitty gritty of negotiations, and on the finance side, paying for this and how it would be paid and when it would be paid and how much we're going to pay and everything else. I mean, Mike was fantastic in working with the other side. And they have their own economists. They have their own accountants that the negotiation isn't just between lawyers. There's a whole other side to it. So Mike was wonderful in that and every step of the way.
I know you are busy. Well, are you busy still now that it's settled? Like, can you take a breath?
Yeah, I mean, we're busy still. This is not done. This is not done. And, I know. And like I said, there's still 6 active cases. So
okay,
we're busy.
Let me, before you run back upstairs, what can you leave our network with? A piece of advice, a place, things for them to read. Maybe, I know we have our weekly NAR updates every Wednesday. So is there anything that you can let them know or do to just keep them in the loop?
I think about this, what these settlements mean, what the future means. I've always said, like you mentioned, VAR in soccer, this is not an ending event. This is a beginning event, and it's how we perceive it, right? How we perceive things. And I truly perceive this as opportunity for us, given our model. So I mentioned on a call, and Kathy mentioned today that on the buy side, I think you'll have more changes in the practice of real estate than you would on the listing side. The listing side, you're still going to meet with the seller. They're still going to want to list their home. They're still going to pay you a commission for that. That seems pretty clear. We're obviously not going to be able to share our commissions like the way we were before. Mm-hmm. And on the buy side, in those other states, Kathy, you're going to have an agreement in place. And I think the associations will train our buyers agents like, look, everything is open for negotiation. You have to make that very clear to your client, and our agents will be trained that way. So there'll be so many new ways to negotiate with buyers. Like, you can have a buyer go to you and say, look, I don't want to pay you 2% of the final sale price. I'll pay you $5,000 flat, $10,000 flat. You may have those negotiations. You as an agent then will likely go to your broker and say, and if it's a Realty ONE Group broker, hey, this buyer wants to do this instead. That's what they want to put in the buyer broker agreement. Should I do it? Should I not do it? How would you guide me? I would like to think that if you're in a 100% commission company, whether it's us or anybody else, you have a lot more flexibility with that client you're negotiating with. Yeah. And you're gonna keep all 10,000 of it or all 5,000 of it. You know instantly what it looks like to you in your pocketbook as an agent. Whereas if you were at a competitor that had a split, you'd have to then calculate, okay, they want to pay me $10,000. I have to go split that 70-30. How much do I pay them? How much do I? You have to do all that stuff in your head.
Yeah.
That's not flexibility. That's not ultimate flexibility.
Yeah.
So I would like to think if our owners are listening, or if that they're wondering what their future may look like, and your objective is to recruit agents or new agents and distinguish our company from other companies, I would like to think that our owners would say to that prospective new agent, look, if you join our company, you'll have a lot more flexibility to negotiate with buyers. And that's what the future of real estate may be. It may be that negotiation that allows you to keep an extra $1,000 in your pocket.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money, man.
Totally.
It's a lot of money. It could be $5,000 more. I could be whatever it is more.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's pretty cool.
No, that's wise. I mean, that's a recruiting for our franchise owners in and of itself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that. Kathy,
It's
you have
like
anything
waking
else?
up this morning feeling like you're playing for the Nuggets and not the Lakers. That's all I'll say.
Man.
Can we just end
On
it there?
that note, I think this episode is now over.
Oh, I love that, Kathy.
Sorry. I'm sorry. But it
deserved
really
it, yeah.
is. It just proves we're the model to be with, the brand support to be with, the leadership to drive it all. It's a good place to be today.
I agree. I agree. Well, Alex, thank you for joining us. Sure. If we need/want to pick your brain, you're just, right above us.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Kathy. Thank you as always, Ryan.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thanks, Alex.
We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
We thank you for joining us today on another episode of One on One, a Realty ONE Group podcast. We are powered by One.U and ask if you have suggestions, recommendations, or questions, please email learning@realtyonegroup.com. And remember, pay close attention to the details, listen to understand, not respond, and always be a resource, not a sales pitch.